I think that London being shut today is a massive contrast between the riots, or what they call protests,
Yeah.
um, and just people today. It looks on the news, and I can only got the news to gather this info from, that it was very peaceful. The police seemed quite relaxed, quite calm.
Yeah.
The most thing that people could highlight or pick fault with was someone standing on a bus waving a flag. But to be honest, it looked absolutely beautiful. So, people playing and dancing and having a good time. Not throwing projectiles, not throwing bricks, not accusing people of stuff. Just peaceful. If it was called a protest, it was very peaceful. But I do see some media outlets which, yeah, I think that you should continue to carry on doing what you do, because this is very educational in the long run. It just literally proves the point. One side was very xenophobic, very racist, and I think that as a nation we ought to look at that and say, should we be ashamed of ourselves? And please, anyone that says that Britain patriots need to stand, nah, yeah, don't rope me into that. I'm not a part of that. I'm a multicultural being. That's what I am. That's where I'm at. Multicultural, multi-religional, all of the above. I'm multicultural, and it was very beautiful to see. And to be honest, in contrast of the two, which one would I prefer or feel more relaxed to be in that environment? It would be the one I saw today when they shut London. I don't know if this is Islam, but they were waving the flag and doing different stuff. I thought it was very beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought it was very calm. I would like to be in that sort of environment than this one over here. Wow, Britain. And it's not everyone, it's just a very small population. And I'm watching something on this Tommy Robinson.
Yeah.
Are there not laws for this type of xenophobia? And should we ban all types of individuals out of the country? Man, really? No, I'm proud to be multicultural and to be brought up that way and to experience different cultures, different religions. If I so wish to, I have the ability to do so. That's what I prefer. I like that a lot. It gives you more variety. And then, technically, for my belief in religion, it's like a river that leads to the same ocean. Not all rivers lead to the same ocean, but in this landmass, understanding it, these rivers, to me, all lead to the same creator. Just have a very different way to explain it, different way to get there, different way to do this, different way to do that. No, I think it's beautiful, to be honest, and to experience the different creative ways that you get there, from spirituality all the way up to Christianity to up further to Islam. And is there another one, Shiva?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with every single one. Scientology is another one, isn't it? And I think that's beautiful. That's variety. That's choice. And in a democracy, isn't that where we get to pick which one speaks to us? Wonderful. So yeah, with the protests and different things that were going on, I'm definitely in for this one. It's much more friendly, calm, peaceful. People having fun. It looked like quite a lot of fun. And then the police aren't all up in riot gear, happening to protect themselves from projectiles and stuff. However, saying that, this really does shine a light on things. And it explains a lot of what needs to be done and where this country should be going, or perhaps ought to be looking in these sort of different aspects. So yeah, this just seems to me that these are power grabs, attempted, very poor power grabs, to say the least. But I don't like the saying very much, but give enough rope, hey? And watch them bind themselves up in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then there was another thing that was talking about gender, changing your gender.
Mm-hmm.
Now, am I for or against that? Well, there's lots of reasons why I could be against it, but later be for. Children of a certain age, to drink alcohol, personally, I would move it up to 25, but 21, 18 or whatnot. I'm not sure if it's changed again, so don't quote me as gospel on that. So for me, it was 16, and others, I think it was 18. I think it's 18, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think America is 21, isn't it?
Not sure.
See, I would move this to 25, personally. But there you are. All to do with the cortex, right? Is it called a neocortex? Maybe I'm saying it wrong. It's not fully developed in everybody, and usually it's finished by around 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that plays a significant factor in our processing abilities,
Mm-hmm.
then if it does, then if we are uneducated at a certain age, could we have been bullied that might make us more so turn... Right, so it's a bit like this, right? For me, I don't know what it's called. What's the proper PC terminology for this? If you want to change your gender... I'm not sure of the terminology, but even still, but if you want to change your gender, should this be wrote into law or written into law that it should be around 25 or 21 or 18 or whichever? And then should there be avenues to be explored down?
Yeah, that should
it be mandatory
change.
that you put eggs on ice or you put sperm on ice? Should this be factored into this? Should there be any underlying issues that need to be looked at as to why you may be doing this? Any sexual abuse or anything like that is not the answer to change your gender, although it may seem like it at the time. I think that if you were to get some therapy and get to the end of the road of therapy on that, then, and you still want to do something like that, then I feel that would be, because you might go through therapy and then think, I nearly did something because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And then if it's done one way and you can't go back again, and then you might not be able to have children.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a real... I don't know whether a child under the ages of certain ages fully comprehends that.
I don't think so.
I don't think that you would fully grasp that. And as a government, that should be all eyes on that. And again, it must be a real difficult position for a doctor if they have discretion and, it should just be a doctor to have discretion. No, I think that if I was a leader, that I would get this into legislation, that it would be beyond a certain age, and that there would have to be some background checking to make sure that you're doing it for the correct reasons.
Yeah.
Because bullying, another one, it could be weaponized.
Yeah.
Again, a group of individuals get together and, maybe we're going to get one person to do something and befriend them and trick them into it. Not saying that it is like that everywhere, but still, these are statistics and a few statistics nonetheless. As a government, I would work hard day and night to get that into legislation, sort of. That it's okay, but beyond a certain age, this and this, that when you're more in the mind, you're educated, you're more responsible.
Yeah.
So, and to put that in the hands of parents, maybe the parents want what's best for their child and perhaps not explored those different avenues of what could be an underlying issue where perhaps more therapy to get at the end of the therapy and then be like, I got to change your heart.
Yeah.
Or because of some situation that may have gone on or may not have gone on. And then if you come at the end of that, then should it be mandatory that you put some eggs on ice?
Yeah.
Put some sperm on ice? And then there's a surrogate, at least, if you need or want to have children.
Yeah.
Or you have a sudden change of heart and think, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Then at least it's not the end of the road for, at least you can still have children.
Yeah.
at least you can still have life.
Mhm.
And then I wonder whether that should be mandatory in this legislation, that yes, it can be done on these X, Y, Z. So age, yes. Is there any underlying issue where you could get the help that you really need, and that's not help that might hinder you later? And I then think that it then takes responsibility away from any doctor, any parent, whether single parent or parents together. And I think then the legislation speaks for itself then. That once written.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a lot of things on that one, that it should be a bit more carefully done. And I think that as a government, that if I was in power, I would have that done. Or if anyone was in power and think, oh, that's not a, yeah, maybe we should, because it helps to safeguard the children. That's what it's doing. And in the long term, that's what it should be all about. Are we educated enough to be in that mindset? Now, I'm all cool for it. I'm not saying I'm not. If you come to the end of all of those check marks, you know, then I'm happy for you. And if you make those right decisions in the correct manner, then you've got my blessing. Do you know, as a government, and it's like, oh, you shouldn't say, oh, yeah, I think it is. I think you'll have anyone's blessing that you did it all for the right reasons, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Because that's a big regret if you do it for the wrong reasons and then found an alternative. And then we was moving on to hemp. And its insignificance in Western culture, but more significant in others. So Egyptian pyramids often put this here. Do you know how much of a significance that hemp or marijuana has played? Not skunks, I'm just talking about hemp. I believe that before we got established or civilized, we understand the tribe mentality, yes? Do I need to say any more other than rape, pillage, and plunder?
No, I don't think you do.
And then other tribes would go in, kill off other men. Strongest tribe would win.
Yeah.
Perhaps rape. Oh man, this is such a very careful how I pick and talk about this subject. Makes me very uneasy to talk about it, actually, to be fair. But I feel that it's relevant to how we've evolved, to be honest. So imagine it like this. Two tribes that never found any, they weren't really smokers. They were just in for... Do you ever wonder how human civilization was so divided in the beginning and all of a sudden it started to become civilized?
Yeah.
You'll be very strange. I mean, look back at this and you'll be quite strange to learn a thing or two. But if one tribe found something, they got to smoke it. And would it turn off this aggression, let's say, or takeover?
Yeah.
And then sit around a campfire? And would this enhance the mindsets to be able to communicate a lot more? Talk.
Yeah.
Exchange not only this hemp, put it on a fire and breathe this in. Mellow you out. It's a bit like cat and catnip. Cats are very... I think that most life was like it in the beginning. Let's say even humans. Hard to believe it, right? Animalistic. But it was there. We were very animalistic 1 minute and then off and then on and off, then yeah. It was very on, off, on, off, on, off. And then you meet a tribe that would smoke and another tribe that would smoke. And they would meet each other, but there would be a sort of standoff, but a sort of smoking, sort of, smell this aroma, recognize that. Oh. Or whatever, however it may have come about.
Yeah.
But then this exchange of the two.
Yeah.
A sit down around a fire sort of thing. And then the beginning of talking. Social. Exchange of food then happens. Exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
Exchange of individuals.
Yeah.
To live harmoniously with one another. And I believe these are the very fabrics of what started human civilization. The very first grips of it started to come about. When you see this very strange documentary once, the 22 cats that would usually be put together would just attack You take two cats
Mhm.
and you change the K in attack
Uh-huh.
to C.
Uh-huh.
And the two cats writ together is like an anagram for attack
Mhm.
in a weird way, sort of. And it's quite right, isn't it? Cats usually attack. Not all, but most of them attack. But yeah, these 22 strong would... They take a little bit of time to get used to each other. But you throw catnip down, they all come together. Pretend to chase imaginary mice and whatnot and purr at one another. They just calm down. Now, I mean, sure, cats aren't going to incite the alphabet and stuff, and probably not going to mellow out too much, but just because it's just their nature, I guess. Give it enough time. If they had enough time, I wonder. But humans are a little bit more, a little different. A little bit more different. The hum man.
Mhm.
Hum man. Anyway, so to come together and smoke would have been the real glimpses of civilization that began to sink together. And then as time went on, the civilization and this exchanging proved to be far more beneficial than to wipe one another out. This became more better. And then, slowly but surely, those things that cropped or glued us together slowly start to drop off. And now we no longer do the very thing that glued us all together. It just slowed us down enough, just brought us out of tribal mindset.
Yeah.
We take it for granted because of how long we've been domesticated for, if you want to call it that. And then that's why I find it so it's very strange that no matter how much time has passed, that when you see individuals that smoke together, how they sit together. It's now over a TV, around a TV or a games console. It used to be around a fire. And I think that this is why the Egyptians popped this on their wall. It was become significant enough to know they're not exactly going to go around and tell you all of their secrets, how they
Yeah.
merge people together and make people more civilized in a tribal mind. But that held a key. Bushmen. Bush women. Bush humans, then. Just enough to exchange ideas that inspire enough. And it's very strange to see individuals get together and do this. And when they have that eureka moment of what they're going to do together, it's incredible. It explodes. It explodes what that idea is. And they all grab this singular idea and they all start putting into it. And it's also a bit like Stoics and philosophers. They get together and just start chatting. Now, whether it's right nor wrong, it really bends the minds of the individuals that are doing it. This is the push-pull from one another. If you've never been in an environment where people are getting high, the conversation gets quite deep. It gets quite intellectual.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets quite funny. Giggles, different stuff like that. I have seen different situations cause different... I've been in these myself too, and seen this and bear witness this and experienced it myself. And naughty boy, but you know, just the way life went in certain aspects. Now, that's as far as it goes for me. And just to see the way individuals move a conversation, pull it. There is not much violence. I don't want to say none. Sometimes a bad day is a bad day. But the way that they all try and chill each other out is quite amazing. But the main thing is conversation and ideas that set to work. Now, most of these people I know that have smoked this are the hardest workers I've ever met. They're off to work in the morning and they're working hard, and then come home, unwind, and then the conversation begins again. And I don't think necessarily the weed is addictive. Not really. Super skunks, not really something that too much, way too much. it's that flow of conversation you just don't get when you're drinking alcohol. You just don't get when we're all sat around the TV. None of us were doing it. It just wasn't there. It was just very boring.
Yeah.
So that's where my outlook on that is for that one. So yeah, that's where I see it. I see a different sort of society in that aspect, and I guess because I grew up around that, experienced it, that's where I've seen it, and then I start to look back into our past as to where or why this would be relevant, or how this would be relevant, and what this could have done for humanity, because this was before times of chemical alcohol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there was a turning point in civilization where such tribalistic was this explosional spark of not being able to trust or relax, this on edge constantly, this survival mind, just constant on the go, on the look. This sort of turned it off. Just relaxed you just enough to get together to share ideas. Now, what were the first ideas? How to take on bigger prey than you. Learn different ways, different foods. Well, how did you catch that? Come, I show you. Perhaps wasn't in words as such as that. And I'm sure they got the understanding from it. Right? Whereas before that, wasn't there. There was this, everything's mine. And all of a sudden it just twisted, just went away. And I think that is what allowed the first formations of the civilization. And wouldn't it be weird if they come from something like that?
Yeah.
To smoke. So that is something that is quite a sacred thing. Well, for me personally, and that's what perhaps I created a belief system because I want to believe, but that's not usually how I operate like that. I just see a lot of benefits. I also see some disadvantages to it as well. But to say it makes you a dope, lazy person, well, I don't know about that. I don't know, I'd argue tooth and nail with you on that one. At the time, perhaps, but next day, tomorrow's work, off they go. This was something. So, yeah. This stuff, in most of society that's coming out, I'd say to anybody that would be watching this in a fear mindset, I wouldn't fear it too much. I think this is about to develop society a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is where it's going. And I think it needs to sort of go this way because we often obsessed with these things called statistics, and there's a little bit of smoke. Look, there's a fire here somewhere, I'm sure. But keep looking at the smoke. Don't look anywhere else. Just look at the smoke that I'm wafting towards you, you know. And yeah, you know, risks, they said. I put the title on this one, on Tony Robinson on Islamic immigration risks.
Huh?
Then what after that? Like of sending certain individuals to certain and no and this and no and no and no. So what do you do then when you come, Faraj and everybody else, when you come to those final understandings of risk within our own culture? Since your labels this, your country, your this. I don't think that's a fair representation of everybody in the country, to be fair.
No, it's not.
That's your words there, but what then? Because let's imagine a world like Faraj then. Deport or say no and stop this and stop that. What happens when the statistic then moves? What then? Are we going to start deporting criminals? And then are these one or two individuals, 3, 4, 5, or 6, depending on how big the scale of the time that's gone by? What then? When you then face to look at your nation that you've created, then, and you are forced to look at then that throwing rocks, throwing bottles. Is that not an act of terrorism in itself?
Yeah.
That you would hurl bricks, bottles, and projectiles at police officers. Is this not terrorism? What's it called when it's in your own home then? Homegrown terrorism, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's not other nations doing that. That's patriots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So these recordings, they should act like giant mirrors. The behavior that you say is in it, it's just not appropriate. Oof. And damn, you let it down for everybody. It just doesn't agree with that. And I wonder, and I'd ask the question next then, should these individuals all be arrested? Oh, there's not room in our jails. It wasn't that convenient. Well, let's get building them then. Community service. Well, we've got people that need to go and need work. It's labour. It's this. You just can't. We've got a lot of stuff that needs cleaning. You want to go paint some parks? Got to do a good job. Make sure it's really good, because if not, you have to do it all over again. It's absolutely, it's terrible. It's disgusting, is what it is. Violent, horrible it is. And you call that patriotic? No, I don't think so. Shameful? We're getting somewhere. I shouldn't call it out, right? But I'm gonna. And all this, Tony Robinson, is it? I'm not sure if this is the person that was talking. Not this.
Yeah.
He should be PM. Yeah, like Farage, right? Woo. Wow, that's interesting. What do you plan to do next? That's when your power then is over then, right? You'll be then voted out because,
Because,
we trust each other.
because that's all you have.
That's it.
Yeah.
Your claim to power. Oof.
Yeah.
Gotta get it somehow. Just gotta say anything and everything because that's just where it is. Keep brushing the bigger problems under the carpet because I don't know how to fix those. Quick, stamp them down because we now start getting molehills underneath this carpet. No, mountains. Distraction from the real bigger problems, isn't it?
Yeah.
In society. And I think with all cultures, no matter where you are, around the world, well, we're all just as bad as one another in our statistics of badness, and we're all just as good as each other in our betterments, right? We all got some that let it down, right? Yeah? And that goes for religions as well, does it not? So we might as well all get in that big net. A few rotten apples do not speak for the entirety of a religion, race, culture. So I think we ought to think about that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave this one here. I'll go on and watch this, maybe not. I don't know how much more I got to go through it. Maybe I got like 15 minutes left to watch this one. I'm going to view the comments as well, because I often do. Whew. That looks like evidence to me. That looks like evidence of xenophobia, racism. I mean, then where's the law in that? Because that needs looking at, doesn't it? When this starts to calm down a little bit. Or I'd go and get them now. Because that would be like an example, wouldn't it? And this is that they use the excuse of these poor little girls. I think they were girls. I'm not sure. Or children, I should say. All of those children, right? That is your excuse to become patriotic, is it? That's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgraces the memory, don't it? Or you're at least trying to taint it. Terrible.